So dropping the arms in the downswing is by far the worst advice given to amateur golfers, because this will absolutely long-term destroy your game. And why leaving your arms alone is a far better way for amateur golfers to hit more powerful and straighter shots. So the first big reason of why dropping the arms in the downswing is going to be a terrible thing, because if you manually try to do that and make that the starting move of your downswing, what's going to happen is the arc of your golf swing is going to suddenly drop. It's going to get lower. So you are going to start swinging more into the ground, which is going to be a big problem, because if your swing arc gets lower down too quickly, you then have to do something to pull the club back out of the ground. So we see quite often with players who have that motion, arms just dropping down immediately, thinking that's a good thing to do. You will start to see players over time start to stand up, because if they didn't stand up, you are going to just completely chunk the daylights out the golf ball. So early extension is something we start to see because of ultimately improper sequencing. And secondly, we start to see if a player really yanks that club down, dropping them, pulling them down, you'll start to see the left wrist will start to get quite extended. So when we pull that club down, left wrist gets extended, but also look at the trail arm. See how the trail arm is going to start with the elbow point more behind, so going to internal shoulder rotation. Look what's happening to the shaft as a result. So if you really yank down, that club's going to get really steep. So again, this is going to encourage you to early extend, to shallow the club later, and there's no chance you're going to do anything other than swinging out towards the right with a big flip release. So it's really common for guys swinging massively down to drop those hands and club down. You'll start to see a stalled out, early extended, flippy move going through the golf ball, because that's how you're going to swing when you do that. But here's the thing, that motion be good for some players. Let me explain. So there are some players out there who are so chronically over the top, they really just fly everything out in front of them. They may have to feel the arms have a little bit of a drop, but at that same time, I'd want those players to more be focusing on their chest, pointing back away from the target at their camera, and then dropping the hands like a Justin Rose type of feel. But for that specific player, if players who aren't hugely over the top, let's say if you're not that player, you should not be trying to get the hands to drop down. It's a misunderstanding of what's actually going on. So let's talk about why we should just leave these completely alone in that downswing. So once we start to leave these arms alone, we're actually going to see the things that golfers who are trying to physically drop their arms manually, you're going to start to see the stuff they want in the golf swing. So when we leave the arms alone and let the body respond, we start to get into a better sequencing. So what I want to see players do to get the club to have a little drop, of course it's going to happen. We do that. We see the best players in the world. They have that motion. The arms drop, the club shallows, which is why a lot of people are trying to do this. But again, we're doing that via the lower body and mid-torso turning first, getting that pressure onto the left side as we do so. So rib cage and down turning. If we're leaving our arms alone and the chest alone in that first motion, you can see how with just my left arm on the club, you can see how the club is starting to shallow. It's starting to drop. Now, it's not just completely dropping, it is moving outwards at the same time with the rotation that I'm starting to unwind and uncork with that lower body and mid-torso first. So we have the hands go down, but it also goes out a little bit as well. That's how we're not going to plummet the club down into the earth and we have to stand out to get it back up again. So when we leave the arms alone and let that lower body and mid-torso unwind first, the club shaft starts to shallow, which is why a lot of people try to drop the hands straight down, because thinking dropping hands means shallow. It does not. It will, for most golfers, do the exact opposite. We will start to incentivize rotation, because when we're getting that lower body mid-torso working first, leaving the arms alone, we're incentivizing the body to do the bulk of the work. And because that shaft is now shallow, we can turn through the golf ball better, we can stay down on the shot. So we want to feel that sensation of leaving those arms completely alone. And we're going to start to get into the positions you've been trying to get into for a long time. That's how I have these big improvements with my students, and getting them into great downswing positions. A lot of the time we're not thinking of anything to do with how to get into the specific club look. We're just getting that body moving well, forgetting about what these are doing, and you get into a better spot. So let me share with you some great drills that I do with my students and done with myself as well, that really allow you to be able to implement this into your golf swing as fast as you can. Now, the first drill is one of my favorite ones. I do this with so many of my students to get them to see how you don't need to manually do much with your arms in a downswing to get into great positions. And that's called the ragdoll drill, where we just relax our arms to where you feel no tension in them whatsoever. And then from there, what we're just going to swing back and through, rotational manner, and just let the arms completely ragdoll. So you're going to start to see a little bit of kind of this almost like reverse hinge type of dragging motion. That's okay, it's just the drill. And then you're going to start to see, look at the lag I start to get, the wrist angles through the shot, I start to get loads more compression. The club starts to lay down easier. So watch this, nothing, I'm doing nothing, but I'm still trying to hit the ball. And if I had a simulator here, I'll be trying to hit it still a good distance, completely ragdolling. Absolutely no intent with those arms whatsoever. What you're going to see with even just that short little swing, because you're not going to swing much up because we do need arm involvement in the backswing, but this is for the downswing, of course. So you're not going to see huge distance, but you're going to see the ball still goes out there much further than you think it would. So, and it goes really quite straight. Normally a little tight draw is what you generally see players do. But absolutely nothing. And see how that body just wants to unwind. That little head swivel going through the golf ball was not something I was trying to do. That's my body really trying to unwind and uncork through the golf ball. So it really starts to see, okay, you'll start to notice that club shaft shallowing loads. You'll start to notice the body staying down and getting a ton more rotation and hitting the ball really quite nicely, just doing that little motion. So it really gets in there and thinking, okay, I start to see all those good things. Maybe then all the top tour players in the world aren't actually trying to do what we see them doing. That's 100% correct. I think a lot of amateur golfers have the misconception of when you see a tour player do something, they've trained that into their golf swing purposely or they're thinking about it. Not at all. They're moving their body nicely, which is then encouraging the shaft to react and club to react appropriately. It's a lot of things in a golf swing is a lot easier when we approach it from that way. Golf can be as easy or as hard as we want it. It's still hard, of course, but it can be a lot harder if we approach it wrong. So ragdoll drill, that is one really good one. So let me show you another one after this ragdoll shot, because it's fun to do and fun to practice. Brilliant. The rhythm, I love the feeling of the rhythm of that. So let's get one more ball for the shadow that is coming over the back of the house, completely engulfs this mat. So the second one is something I've done a ton for myself. I've made videos about this ad nauseum in the past because it's so good, and that is the step through drill. So the step through drill ultimately gets you to where you can't use your arms because it starts the sequencing so early. So that's where that lower body working first. So if we set up to the golf ball just like so, and we bring our lead foot over to our trail foot just like this, and then we have our club out the middle of our feet there. And now you can see I'm setting up from this behind the golf ball position. And as soon as I take the club back, I step forward. So as soon as you take the club back, step forward. And what you do, as soon as you step forward, you swing all the way through. So as you can see, because I'm stepping forward really early, it's starting that downswing sequencing in my takeaway. So there's no way my arms can get overactive. If they do, you're going to hit it terribly. So that will be your yardage, let's say. That's not even the word at all. That will be your guidance of how well you're doing. Yardstick, that's the word I was thinking of, yardstick. That is your yardstick of how well you're going to be doing with this drill. So step over, club out the middle, step forward immediately as you take the club back, and then through. Absolutely brilliant one. Instrumental for me with the development of my golf game. I find it incredibly difficult to get onto my left side, and this is brilliant for players who struggle with that. For me, again, if you've been watching my channel for quite a while, you know I've got cerebral palsy, so it really affects my left side a lot. Tough to get onto there. So even for someone like myself with my disability, I can do this drill. Still difficult, don't get me wrong, it's still hard. I've had this same issue as what I'm talking about here of using the arms way too much in the downswing. Did not help me at all because my body was very resistant to moving much because of the disability. So if I can get over this, guys, you can absolutely too. So another one here. There we go. Awesome, such a good drill. Trains that sequencing early. So if you're a guy who swings way too much with the upper body, this is going to be a brilliant one, or you just can't calm them arms down, this is a good one. So that's where if we measured what the arms do on something like gears, you would absolutely see the arms would do something, absolutely, 100%. So that where, again, for some players, they might have to feel something. If they got something really funky going on with their arms, you might have to feel something with your arms in a downswing, don't get me wrong. But that's where, again, even when we measure things and we see muscles firing in a certain sequence, does it necessarily mean as well that we're actually physically trying to do that? I think that's a really good thing to think about. So we might see muscles firing at a certain time and we can't then go and think, okay, that means we've got to think that to happen. No, we don't. So that's where the arms will be doing a lot. They will be doing a lot, but we're not trying to do it. That's the key. We're not trying to do it. So let's say I've done my drills, and then once I've done a bunch of the drills, replicate that feeling into the ball, and you're going to start to get those arms just so much quieter. Don't try to pull it down. That's going to be the huge thing from there. If you are someone who's massively, let's say, over the top, you're getting yourself into a bad spot, that's where lessons will be the best thing for you, rather than just dropping the hands down and turning because you saw Bryson DeChambeau made a post about it a year ago. So that's where, find the reason why you do the bad thing, fix that reason, and learn how to use that body nicely. And your golf swing is going to get a lot and a lot better. So if you need any help with your golf swing, there's a link down there for online lessons on Skillest, or all the courses I've got available for there. So anywhere in the world, we can work together one-on-one. And if you want a free analysis, we can absolutely do that too. There's a link in the description there exactly for that. So you can see exactly what I think of your golf swing and what we need to do for no cost whatsoever. You just need to upload your swings in. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button for more golf instruction, just like this. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.